Here we are. Another year.
Hey, it's Brian with Ultimately Upland. I'm here with Foster Bartholow of the famous Bartholow Brothers, or what's your new website?
Yeah, trapshootingbros.com.
Trapshootingbros.com. Let's say it one more time for the audience. Trapshootingbros.com. Well, anyway, so Foster here, he, I don't know, he's got all kinds of Browning gear on.
Yep, we're here at the Browning booth, Media Day, or Day on the Range.
Day on the Range.
Industry Day, whatever it is.
Terrible. It's terrible. Actually, it's been pretty fun this year. We just did a little walk around, shot some different things, and you'll see some of that. But really, the reason I wanted to talk to Foss today is because we see each other every year, and I've been thinking about youth shotgunning and just youth shotgunning in general. And I think part of the problem that I see is that with shotguns out here, most of the guns you're going to run into, number one, they don't fit youth. Number two, if you're a slight-framed individual or a kid, shotgun's going to beat the tar out of you.
For the most part, yes.
And I think that's part of the problem with us trying to get people involved in shotgunning and in upland hunting is how can we get kids involved earlier? When did you first start?
You know, I started when I was 14.
Is that the first time you ever shot a shotgun?
No. We had been shooting our whole entire life.
Yeah, but what time? Can you remember what age you picked up a shotgun? Okay, that's a great question. What was the first shotgun you ever shot?
Yeah.
And how old were you?
Yeah, I mean, I remember 410s, 20 gauges. Some of the smaller gauges for sure when I was young. But it started with us. My parents knew safety. They knew the accountability part of treating a firearm with respect, just like you would.
Did you BB gun first? Were you a BB gun shooter?
Yeah.
First gun, BB gun.
Yeah.
Red Ryder?
I don't know what it was, but it was sure fun to shoot at squirrels.
I probably shot. So when I was coming up, I probably 6, maybe 7. I got a BB gun. And I don't know
was
how.
It the Red Ryder?
It was.
Really?
Red Ryder, single. No, none of this multi-pump stuff. Single lever action Red Ryder with a leather strap off of it. And I probably shot. I bet I got 45,000 BBs through that thing. When I take it everywhere. It was with me all the time. But that's where we were learning safety.
Yeah.
But I didn't start shooting shotguns until. Man, I bet I was 11, maybe 12.
Okay.
And honestly, maybe even later than that in any kind of scenario where you can practice. I remember like when I'd be around my dad or my dad's friends and they'd have a shotgun out for deer season or something.
Yeah.
And I'd want to try it. But if you shoot a slug gun, a 12 gauge slug gun one time and you're a little 12-year-old, you go, oh, I think I've had enough of that.
Yeah.
Because that really is a beating on somebody that's. I wasn't that small, but I was small enough. You're probably big. You look at you.
Yeah, I know, right?
You probably weighed 400 pounds when you were.
Yes.
So you were shooting under gauges when you were younger, though.
Yeah, and I always had that passion for hunting. Like I said, my mom and dad would definitely do hunting stuff on their own. I remember this one time going out with my dad. I couldn't shoot yet. I had my BB gun, and my dad's like, antelope hunting, and he's like, hey, do you want to shoot this antelope first? Do you want to shoot it? And I had my little BB gun, and so we're both on it, and he lets me shoot this BB gun, and like right as I shoot, he shoots.
Right.
And he's like, oh my gosh, you hit it, and I was so excited.
Your mind completely blown immediately.
And I'm just a little mo jogger, like well, he gets up and he had a couple extra BBs in his pocket, so he starts doing this, and he pulls out one of these little BBs, puts it in. He's like, oh my gosh, I found it. And you want to talk about a little kid having the ultimate experience,
immediately amped out of your mind.
Yeah, and that's one of those memories that I remember as a kid, growing up and being involved in hunting and shooting and that industry.
So how did you transition that into shotgunning? For those of you that don't know, Foster and his brother Matt, they're both top 5 ranked trap shooters, top 5 in the country. Matt consistently kicks Foster's butt. Not at everything, not at everything. But I mean, these guys are top 5 shooters in ATA.
Appreciate that.
And so they know what they're doing, and that's why I'm here talking to them today. Is because most of the stuff that we do at Ultimate Upland is from a hunting perspective, a bird hunting perspective. But you got to start somewhere.
Correct.
And obviously, practicing on clays.
I think there's a huge correlation, or similarities between upland and that clay shooting sports. That the more you do it, the better you get. Obviously.
Right.
But I think those people that not only have that idea of how to shoot properly, whether it's stance, form, eyes, everything, dominant eyes, that relates into safety. And when you go out in the field, that safety is applied just the same fashion as it would be on the line.
Sure. So what made you do the transition though? So you were shooting. So you started out big game hunting essentially.
Yeah.
But I've seen the rest of a lot of your family are shotgunners for the most part. Like I've seen your mom and your dad, I think, both shotgun, right?
Both. I mean, yeah. My dad definitely rifle, shotgun, bow.
So what made you transition into clay shooting, specifically getting into competitive trap shooting? What's the?
Yeah. I mean, we love going out. We'd go pheasant hunting all the time. We would go out duck and goose hunting a ton. And it was just one of those things where we took that passion, saw a flyer in our school, for a local club, get in for the youth program. Okay. And went out to try it out. Things just started from there. It was.
So you backed into it. You went hunting.
Yep.
Backwards into clays, essentially.
Yep.
And then
we had a good understanding at least of shotgun before we.
And then you got ate up with it and started competing.
Yep. I mean, we did really good right away, and that always helps.
So give me the natural ability breakdown versus the practice. How much of professional shooting? Because I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding about what's going on in professional shooting and how you become a professional shooter.
Yeah.
Now let's put quotes around professional shooter because ATA. Technically, you're not a professional shooter.
They keep it amateur status, yeah.
But how much of that was natural ability? How much do you think is natural ability? How much can be learned? Because you guys do instructing too. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely. And so I think that there's. I wouldn't say. I mean, like we talked about, as you practice, you get better. We've kind of come up with a different strategy instead of quantity. We would rather see quality. So rather than taking a kid out and having them shoot 100 rounds, we would much rather have them focused on 25 rounds. Okay. And it's one of those things that have proven very successful because not only do you shoot better on most cases, but your average climbs quick because you're learning the correct fundamentals.
So you're repeating perfect practice, essentially.
Yep.
You're more worried about that than you are about quantity. Correct. Essentially.
Yeah, because if you go in unfocused, like any sport, you go in unfocused, you give it a 50% effort, it's your outcome. You're not going to be at the top level that you could be.
So how much of this were you born with, though? How much do you think you actually it's in you?
There's always that skill involved with any sport. But I think a lot of it has to do with the right coaches, the right training program.
Your dad was your coach though a lot of the time?
He was one of our coaches. We had a couple really good ones growing up in high school and beyond. But yeah, it's natural ability definitely plays a part. But I wouldn't say you have to have that ability. You have to have practice. You have to put in your dues just like any other sport.
Right.
Yeah. But what trap shooting or the shooting sports, whether you're shooting, sporting clays, skeet, trap shooting, I think all of those ultimately help you in the field because you learn the fundamentals much better than you would just trying to go out hunting and maybe shooting, a couple boxes here and there.
Well, you definitely, practice certainly helps something, and when you're practicing clays, it certainly translates into upland. Yeah. But let's go back to the youth thing.
Okay.
You guys, Foster and Matt, I think it's your whole family does a clinic, right?
Yeah.
For youth during the summer. What's your starting point for kids? How do you get them interested, involved, and keep them involved based on the limitations we know with shooting shotguns and smaller framed individuals?
Absolutely. So there's going in with the mix. We necessarily don't start kids off per se. Most of them that we're helping in these clinics have a little bit of background already in the shooting sports.
Okay.
You know, and it might be a year or two, but the fundamentals are already being built already.
Well, so do they have gun safety fundamentals, or do they actually have shotgunning fundamentals that you would call?
A little bit of both. You know, just they're going through the SCTP program, the play target program.
Okay.
Or you know, different programs that are already teaching those fundamentals. And then what we try to do is kind of hone in on different things, what you can do to improve, how to improve better. And we also have a coaches section too of, you know, how can a coach teach better? Because a lot of coaches out there, you know, this is not their primary thing. They just they help without or help with everything. But you know, obviously, with what Matt and I know for knowledge, I think there's a great tool and benefit from that too.
Sure. So the difference between let's give people an idea of exactly how much you or Matt or a professional shooter are practicing per se versus the average upland guy like me who you know, I'm lucky to hit anything. So what kind of time? How many rounds you can cycle? And what's the practice regimen you guys have to get to a AAA level? You know, a professional shooter. Okay,
so for anybody that doesn't know what AAA means, in trap shooting, it goes from AA, A, B, C, and D class. AAA obviously being those when you have an average. I don't know the exact one of that.
You don't miss. Let's just say you don't miss.
I will tell you, out of all of the shooting last year for singles, at the 16-yard line, I had a .9947 average.
Okay.
And that's out of thousands of rounds of shooting.
He's breaking 99 out of 100 almost every time he goes out, and probably more like 100 out of 100.
At this point, I'm hopefully more likely to hit all of them. But I mean, that's the level that we want to be at, that we need to perform.
So what's the practice regimen, and I mean, there are a lot of steps. So in that ATA or any kind of shooting discipline, there's a lot of steps to get there. But to get to that level, what are you doing? What's it take?
So I'll tell you right away. When we first started, it was a quantitative measure. Go out and shoot 100 rounds every single day. Now that did help, but what we found is we basically got really good and then we plateaued.
Okay.
Or we got good and then we plateaued.
So quantify what the plateau was.
Okay. Yeah, so plateau was at that time probably 93, 94. I mean, a good score, but definitely not that next level that you have to have.
So 93 or 94 in an ATA setting, where's that put me in the scales?
Probably about an A.
So you're still an A. Then you got AA, and you guys are now AAA.
Correct. A, B. Yeah.
So you were shooting 100 rounds a day.
Yep. And we did that for a number of, probably about, I mean, we'll just say a month right away.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember how long.
Sure.
But
well, how old were you when you were doing this?
Yeah, I mean, we were 14, 15, 16.
Okay.
You know, and we really followed that all the way up till about when I was 18 or so.
Okay. So that gives people what I'm trying to explain to everybody here in the audience is there are lots of professional shooters, professional hunters out there, professional people in the outdoor industry, and nobody really knows how they get there or what it takes to get there. And so I think it's good to give people a perspective about what exactly it is that you're doing to get to that level.
Yeah.
So what'd you do after you plateaued?
Well, that was the next part. You know, we did really well, and our scores increased quickly. You know, 2000, I'm going to say 2005 it was. We won our SCTP at Nationals. You know, and at that point, I think I shot 200 out of 200. We only missed like 5 or 6 out of 1,000.
Okay.
Which was really good for a team. But when it came down to it, at that point already, we were doing perfect practice. We just hadn't called it that at that point.
So that's when you guys started forming this idea of how you're going to practice differently. That it wasn't about quantity of shooting, that it was about
the quality.
Quality.
Yep. And what we noticed is when you start doing the right fundamentals, just with any sport, you have the right coaching, the right fundamentals, you learn the correct way. You know, and I'm blessed because I have the best shooter in the world that I'm shooting against every single day. So that makes me a better shooter.
If you heard, that's me ribbing him about his brother. Matt's a pretty good shooter. Let's just put it that way.
He's a really good shooter, yeah. You know, but that's where we've helped each other, where if I struggle with something, he can tell me, you know, hey, do this or this or this, and vice versa. So we've helped build each other up at that time too.
So what's the end? What's the goal? Once you're a professional shooter, well, once you're shooting at your level, this is what I'm curious about is what's the next thing? Because you obviously you can shoot. You guys are capable of shooting perfect corners. You were just ribbing Matt before we went on camera about how many you'd shot single straight. Your number's at.
Well, so in 2000, and I'll just tell you this one so all your viewers know too. In ATA, for the Grand American, which is basically like the World Championships for trap shooting.
Big shot.
Yep. You have 200 clay birds that you shoot in the main event, and then you'll go into a shoot-off. Well, typically, you'll have 50, 60 shooters that shoot all 200 at the Grand American out of thousands of shooters. And I was one of those at 2008 that shot 200 out of 200 in the main event. Got in the shoot-off over the next 4 days. You know, we kept going. Well, it came down to me and one other gentleman, Leo Harrison III, which is undoubtedly one of the best trap shooters ever, period, to have lived. And it was me and him. We got to 900 in the shoot-off, total of 1,100 total. And the president of the ATA came out and said, you know, this is beyond anything, crushed every other record for long runs. Would you guys like to be declared co-champion? And, you know, I was humbled very much so with that. So just be in the league.
Let's give an idea of the age range in that co-championship right there. How old were you when that happened?
Oh God.
How old was
Yeah, there was a big there. But that's one of those things that I think has helped so much because we got teamed up with the right people, with Browning, Winchester. They've helped us along the way. And it's now a part of giving back to the community, giving back to making the sport greater than when we first got into it. And like we were talking about, you know, I'm a left-eye dominant shooter, but I shoot right-handed.
He's cross-eyed. That's what I call cross-eyed. He cringes at that probably. I'll let it fly no matter what.
Where Matt's a normal human being.
Right,
He shoots with both eyes open. Yeah. So
everybody else out there is a normal human being. We shoot with both eyes open. That's what shotgunners are supposed to do. I don't know what this guy's doing.
You know, and so for hunting, I always close one eye, and it was one of those learning processes for me. There's what we call a dot system, where you put a dot on your glasses, keep that second eye open. That's what I do, and it works very well for me, obviously.
So the dot is blocking your center view, but allowing you to see peripheral, right?
Correct.
So it's making your quote-unquote dominant eye less dominant.
Less dominant. It takes the right eye takes over, and you see one.
You want to see me get screwed up? Watch me try and shoot with a dot on anything and in my glasses, and it's over. Like it's gonna be gone.
Well, and it's funny because if I tried to shoot the way my brother shoots, I am horrible. Matt tries to shoot the way I do. He's still pretty good, but I'm just kidding. But we have two different shooting styles, and I think that's one thing that we've been able to incorporate into our clinics is everyone shoots differently, and that's why we created your recipe, because everyone shoots different. How you shoot is all different, and we need to be able to accommodate that and build up that individual shooter so they're shooting at their highest potential.
So you're having to assess how people are shooting individually and then make them the best shooter they can be.
Correct.
Because not everybody's going to be Matt.
Correct.
Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want to be Matt, right? But it's not. I've given up on all possibilities of being Matt. I'm just going to shoot birds. So the youth thing I think is great. Make sure you tell everybody how those go down, where they go down, because these programs are free to kids to come out.
Absolutely.
Learn how the professionals, the number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever number you're currently
we do all
at.
right, yeah.
Learn how these guys shoot and have a better understanding for themselves. So tell them about the clinics, Foss.
Yeah, so if you go on trapshootingbros.com, you'll see a little bit more information on the shooting section of the website. We don't have dates figured out exactly yet, but if you go on there, you can get signed up for the classes. Typically, the one in Pierre, South Dakota, we're going to be filming the first part of spring. And then we hold one in West Point, Iowa at Grandpa's Club.
Okay.
And then, that's kind of middle part of the summer. So, but like I said, we'll have a better, it'll be on trapshootingbros.com, and we're also starting up where we're doing paid clinics as well.
Okay.
Just because we understand the importance, there's a lot of value to what we do, and so if people want kind of a more in-depth, smaller class setting, you know, that's another option.
So we're going to find out how to incorporate upland hunting and learning how to be an upland hunter in one of your clinics.
Yeah.
I'm going to totally mess all your students up.
Probably not. I mean, because you look at things, and like I said, there's a huge crossover that a lot of people don't quite understand, and it comes from your stance. And that's just one thing I'll start off with right away. Your stance dictates how you can follow through, how you swing, how efficient you are. Essentially, everyone thinks that it comes through the arms, and it's a whole.
It's coming
body.
from your it's coming from the twist at your core for the most part.
Correct.
For me, but so there's an interesting part in that because, I teach guys how to shoot upland. You probably can't imagine how we go about that, but I make guys shoot off when they're off balance. You know, with the wrong foot forward, because there's times when you're in the field where where
bird will get up to the
where
side.
the bird gets up the wrong way and you've got to go the whole way around. Or you've got the wrong foot forward, but you've got a small shooting window, especially rough grouse shooting. Super small windows, and you just have to make yourself do stuff with a gun that feels unnatural for most people. You'd be okay with it, because I've seen you pull trick shots out here with the Dual Brothers, and you understand what that is. But it still starts with understanding of how your foundation is set under that gun. Right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So didn't I see a picture of your mom shot her first pheasant this year or something?
She did, yeah. We went out.
First pheasant.
It was great. It was so much fun. Had the labs out there, and
well, yeah. So your lab, he's younger than my youngest lab, isn't he?
he's 7. So
yeah. So he's good age right now. Yeah.
You know, and he's more of a goose hunter for sure.
Well, right. Foss does a lot of goose hunting because he doesn't like to walk like us upland hunters. He likes to lay in a blind. So
I like him to come to me.
We just got bombed by Matt.
But no, and so yeah, I mean, and I know there's great upland dogs, and I'm sure you probably know there's a huge difference between an upland dog and a waterfowl dog.
Yeah, but we can still teach that dog of yours how to upland
How to do it the right way. I don't know, man. He's
so. What
good.
possessed your mom to go pheasant hunting? Okay, let me don't just give me an age bracket. Don't give away her age. But what possessed her to do it at this point?
She it was just a fun experience. We were able to get out.
Just out of the blue. You didn't prod her. You didn't go like, come on, come shoot your first pheasant.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. It was. You know, she's always cooked up pheasants, and you know, we'll bring them home. But it was just kind of one of those experiences where she wanted to go with. Everything worked out perfect, and yeah, she
first pheasant at age bracket.
Inner lower. I'm not even. No, don't even try to do this. No. She's beautiful. I love her. I love you, Mom. She shot a pheasant better than you, probably.
So. She's definitely. She's young. She's very young. That's all I know. She's extremely young, and
I mean not too young, but you know.
She's taken, guys. She's taken.
Back off. Matt knows how to shoot. But no, we're just talking.
Oh, okay.
But no, there's, like I said, I mean, we're blessed to be able to do what we do. Day in and day out, we love helping other shooters. There's so much knowledge out there, and that's what we love doing. When we can help kids, even if it's not, you know, getting their first 100, it might be shooting 5 in a row. But when something clicks for them, that's the coolest feeling in the world.
You know, so you guys are shooting with kids that have a little bit of experience, but you know, I've got to train some of my nieces and nephews and some of my friends' kids, and you talk about 5 in a row. The best feeling for a lot of kids, like for me, the best feeling is watching their first one. Like it's a mind, you know, because you're trying to make them understand the mechanics and make them, you know, and it takes a little bit. In shotgunning, there are people who are nationals, and I've had kids step up and immediately just go bang, bang, bang. But I've also had kids who struggle with what they're looking at, and you're trying to coach them the right way. And then when they break that first one, it's like
definitely, you know, and then building it from that 1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
That's right.
And that's another part that we should probably talk about is the gun fit / what kind of gun are you going to use?
Go. I want to hear this because we've been I talked to you earlier about it because it's something that's constantly on my mind.
Correct.
Because I see, here's the wild thing to me is, and I told you earlier, I only shoot 20 gauge all season long. Most of you who watch me, that's what I shoot, and it's a convenience thing, but it's also a carry weight thing. It's also a recoil thing for somebody my size.
Definitely.
So I'm watching, and thanks to the miracle of social media, I'm watching kids now that are shooting 12 gauges, and I'm going, I would never put a 12 gauge in a kid that size.
Yeah.
So what I mean, but most trap shooting teams in high school are all shooting 12s.
Correct. Yep. You know, but with our clinics, I mean, we see a variety from just like we start with our field guns, you know, and then we got into the Browning line with trap shooting grade specific guns. Trap shooting grade specific guns are typically a little bit heavier. They do have a little bit more recoil reduction in them.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's a few differences with them. But in general, those guns are going to recoil a little bit less. They might weigh a little bit more, but there's a lot of options that we'll talk about with different kids. And luckily for us, we have an arsenal of Browning shotguns that we can have kids try out, see what fits them and what works for them the best.
So what are you setting the slightest frame kids up?
Yep.
There's obviously girls coming to your clinics as well. So
Yep.
what are the slightest frame?
You know, and I would say probably the slightest frame we'll see kids shooting in the BT99 micros.
Okay.
Typically those are a well-balanced gun that will fit a smaller size shooter.
Are you starting them in 12s though, or are you?
Well, and that's personal preference. You know, that's to each their own.
Sure.
You know, there's great 12 gauges out there or 12 gauges and 20 gauges. Typically, you'll see the 20 gauges being a little bit lighter. Sometimes
that's the trade-off, right?
Yep.
Is because if you go to a 20 gauge, you're giving up weight, and in some ways, for an upland carry scenario,
Yes.
less weight is better.
Yeah.
The problem is in a clay shooting scenario,
Yeah.
less weight means more recoil. Just it's almost impossible to avoid. So if you go with a super light gun and you're shooting clays, and then you'll see, you know, when you watch us shoot on sporting clays courses, which you'll see some of our other videos shooting on sporting clays courses, and we're out there shooting a lot. Not like in terms of what you guys shoot a lot, but like, you know, a couple hundred rounds in a day, but we're shooting our 5.5 pound guns.
Yep.
By the time you get to 200,
Yep.
you've had enough.
Yep.
So, you know, there's certainly a trade-off out there, but kids that are slight frame, when you get into heavier gun, and then it gets to how long can I hold the gun up?
Yes.
You know, so I don't know if there's an answer. The question, or you know, it's a problem. In shotgunning, it's a problem that I don't know what the end answer is. That in general, what ends up with us is that unless you're 12, 13, sometimes 14 years old, you can't probably shoot a lot of clays at one time because you're just not big enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and that's where we bring in that BT99 micro. Most kids can go out and shoot at least a couple rounds of shells with those and not feel sore at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing. I mean, you know, even for us, it's like, you know, when we go out and we shoot flats a day, next day we go out and we're able to do the same thing if we want to because our shoulder's not hurting. Obviously, we have kind of that built in already with all the recoil and feeling for it.
Once you get used to shooting and your form is fairly locked in,
Yeah.
you're gonna be. I mean, it changes a lot.
See, but it's funny though because I'm left eye dominant. I also can shoot left-handed from time to time.
You guys, so if you guys follow Ultimate Plan, you'll watch Steve, my other buddy, who's in a lot of the videos, and you'll see him do the same thing where he'll switch hands out of the blue, and you're like, wait, what just happened? I don't do that because I'm superstitious about messing myself up.
See, but if I do that left-handed, you know, I get done at the end of the day, and I can definitely feel it a little bit more over here where
because you're holding the gun different.
Correct.
And you're mounting the gun different. For us, so I crack on you trap guys a lot because of they start with their guns mounted, right?
Who does
He
that?
doesn't necessarily do this all the time out here. He doesn't do it all the time. But when you're a professional trap shooter, you're starting gun mounted.
Correct.
And
It's
upland,
consistency.
it's consistency. It takes, so when we're shooting sporting clays, or even when I'm shooting trap out here or whenever,
Yep.
you'll always see me start low gun because in an upland discipline, the mount from here to here,
Upland discipline.
as I was saying, Let's get back to the fact that trap shooting technically isn't real shooting. No, what I was just saying is in an upland discipline, the upland discipline, 90% of hitting a bird is your motion from gun barrel in a safe direction to mounted and able to swing. And so
and the correct form of swing. Right?
Sure. So when you see us shooting clays, we always start low gun because we're practicing a consistent mount with a gun. You're trying to get used to that, and more importantly, even less than a consistent mount, what I find is you have to know when you have a bad mount where the gun's pointing.
Yes.
So they try and take in trap. You're taking that variable out.
Correct. Yep.
That's how. I mean, but that's why you can shoot 100 out of 100.
Yeah. Well, but then you're also learning consistency with trap shooting. I think that's just as valuable. Yes, you don't have that form of coming up. Obviously, you can practice that.
Yeah.
You know, and I do recommend if you're not an avid upland hunter or waterfowl hunter, either one, but you know that you go out and practice that before the season. You know, whether it's just having the gun at the house and practicing pulling. You know, getting that smooth, because there's people that don't, at least like for the goose hunting stuff, that you know they pull the gun up but they don't know, like you said, really what's going on after that, or how you can transition that pull up into part of your swing to make it more efficient.
Right.
So that's part of the consistency. But as far as trap shooting goes, you've definitely learned that lead, follow through, and consistent form.
You're looking. It's actual trap shooting. The discipline was more like shooting form.
Yeah.
And understanding what the sight picture looks like and proper swing.
Yeah.
For us, when we're instructing upland, which is to low gun. So this is the next step, which we can talk about this forever. To go from when we first started instructing kids, never have them start low gun ever.
Okay. Yeah.
Ever, because one of the cardinal sins of starting low gun is not getting the butt of the gun into the proper shoulder position. And you want to beat the hell out of yourself, that's the way to do it. You get it out too far, you get it up too high, you're going to beat yourself up. So when we first started instructing kids, we always start high gun.
Yeah,
so because you're trying to get new shooters to understand the barrel in relationship to the clay, how it's flying, proper swing.
Yep.
But it's entirely. But that next step,
and you're trying to build confidence too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of kids, when they first start shooting, if they don't break anything, they get down on it, right?
Absolutely.
So they need to figure out how to break something before they break their shoulder.
Yep.
So it's I can tell you that when I was growing up, and I eventually transitioned. I mean, I was shooting 12 gauge when I was young. So when I probably was 14, I was shooting 12 gauge. A 101. The 12 gauge, it was a trap model. It was heavy. It was like a log, man.
You were one of those guys.
It was like a log
that you rag on.
Yeah. Exactly. Carrying that 12-pound gun. You get to a point. So even then, I've been shooting 12 gauge, but you get beat up hunting or in shooting clays, and you broke 10 in a row, it feels a lot better. You wake up in the morning, you're like, that's okay, Dad, because I know what I'm doing now.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, so there's just a lot to it. I think if you guys want to find out more about youth shotgun, you definitely need to go to trapbrothers.com.
Trapshootingbros.com.
See? Yeah. Why did you do that? Why don't you got it now by trapbrothers.com? Wait.
I know. Messed up. Wrong domain.
One more time. What is it?
Trapshootingbros.com.
It should just be Trap Brothers.
I'm going to go about that one.
We're going to buy Trap Brothers to get them up. And if you don't want to learn about trap shooting and you want to see some more goofy videos about upland hunting, ultimateupland.com. You can follow us on YouTube as well. Subscribe, actually, that would help.
Yeah, the like below.
It's a like. And I'm sure that Foster and Matt are going to be posting lots of videos in their upcoming clinics, and you're going to want to follow those guys. So
yeah,
I appreciate all your help. It's always good seeing you out here, and maybe one of these days you'll actually come shoot a bird.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right, brother.
Great seeing you as always.
Hey, I do not know what you are doing, but we run around entirely too hard in these videos for you not to subscribe. So, subscribe. Then watch another video. Then send me a biscuit. No, send us a biscuit. No, send me 2 biscuits and her 1.